يا حامل القرآن قد خصك الرحمن بالفضل والتيجان.
So, and now we have with us Ahmed Al-Kurdi, and let's put him up right now. Say Assalamu alaikum, Habibi.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, dear viewers.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Now, I sent you a text message before we went on the air telling you we already had some questions that I thought maybe we could address while we're waiting for the people to call in. And the first question that they wanted to ask about is, what is the significance, if any, about this month that precedes the month of Ramadan? In other words, what's the significance of the lunar month called Shaban? Do we have anything about that?
Yes, sir. Indeed, we do.
Can you share any of that with us?
So I start by praising Allah. Alhamdulillah, we thank Him for giving us this opportunity, and we ask Him to bless the Messenger and His righteous followers. The month of Shaban basically is what leads up to the month of Ramadan, and the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, a part of his tradition was to use this as a warm-up exercise. So it's almost like the pre-season for the season of Ramadan. And the Messenger, may Allah bless him and grant him peace, would actually fast in this month more than he would fast any other month. And we're talking about him fasting voluntarily. This is not an obligation, but he would get himself into the spirit of the month of fasting by increasing in his voluntary fasts.
Okay, now we're talking about the fasting in Ramadan and the fasting in the month of Shaban. Could a person just fast the month of Shaban and then they don't have to do Ramadan, or can they do some days, let's say 10 days out of Shaban and then only do 20 out of Ramadan, and can that be worked out, or is that not right?
No, sir. The obligation and the pillar of Islam, which is called fasting, is to fast specifically the month of Ramadan. Specifically the month of Ramadan, that is called the obligatory fast, which is a requirement. Everything beyond that is called voluntary fasting. If you wish to fast any other days of the year, then that's a voluntary fast, and you'll be rewarded for it accordingly. But the obligation is the actual month of Ramadan, which is either 29 or 30 days, the 9th month of the lunar calendar.
All right, now here's another part of the same question. In this fasting of the Shaban, is there any kind of good rewards that come, like it comes in, you know, like just fasting a day or two here or there, but in Shaban, is it anything you could do extra, something special that maybe I can get extra reward with Allah?
Other than warming up to the month and following the tradition of the Messenger, I'm not aware of any other special virtues, but it's basically a warm-up and a pre-season to the season of fasting. And Rasulullah, the Messenger of God, would actually fast that month more than any other month out of the year. He would not fast it in total. His wife said he would fast it more than any other month, but he would not fast it in total, meaning completely.
Okay, so now, again, related to the month of Shaban, can somebody do stuff like they do in Ramadan? Can you do Taraweeh prayer and get reward for that, or stay up late at night and pray, or can you recite more Quran and get more bonus points, or I don't know, what do you got on that?
So basically all the righteous deeds are rewarded just like in any other month, but there's no special significance, and no one can come up and say this is a tradition of the Messenger. He did not pray Taraweeh, but he did pray Qiyam al-Layl, the night prayer, throughout the year. He would pray 11 or 13 rak'ahs cycle of prayer. That was his constant tradition. So whether it was Sha'ban or outside of Sha'ban, that there is nothing specific that says single out the month of Sha'ban in these special acts and these special rituals, other than warming up for the month and getting ready for it. Okay. I read a very nice quote which said that the month of Sha'ban is the month where you sow your seeds, and then the month of Ramadan is where you water them and you reap the harvest.
Ah, so there is something you can do to get some extra points there, huh?
I guess so, if you want to look at it that way. But
I want to look at it
just-
any way I can get extra rewards. How about this? Now, you said there's no tarawih in the month of Shaban, but you said there is a lot of rak'ah at night. Like you can do, did you say 9 or 11 or 13 or something like that?
I said 11 or 13, that was the tradition of the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He would do that constantly in Ramadan and outside of Ramadan, according to his wife, who reports that he would be constant in performing the night prayer. And if he was not able to do so due to being sick or traveling, then he would actually make it up in the daytime.
Oh, okay. Well, wait a minute. That is something else. Can you recite any of those out loud? Those extra ones you do late at night, can they be out loud or no?
That's the tradition. You can do it out loud or you can do it silently. Basically, it's recommended for you to recite as much of the Quran as possible when you're standing up in prayer at night. And that's a quiet time where you can focus and have more concentration. And basically, you're performing a ritual when everybody else is asleep. And that's one of the best deeds you can do, praying at night when everyone else is asleep, that you're waking up and begging your Lord and asking Him for favors and drawing near to Him.
Okay, so if I want to recite it out loud, it's not haram to recite out loud in those extra prayers late at night.
It's completely fine. In fact, it's recommended that you should not be very loud.
Too loud.
You can pronounce it, but don't wake people up, and don't basically pretend that you are trying out for some type of singing show.
Okay, well, before we take our break, last question related to that. What about if somebody doesn't have the Quran memorized, but they're working on it? Can they hold the book in those extra prayers and look at it and read the Quran from there?
So holding the book, there is an issue with that. It's best to kind of place the book on some type of some type of book holder, and this way you can read it without actually holding it and playing around and making extra movements that are not proper in the ritual. But you can read from a book if you wish to do so to help you out. Yes, there's no problem with that.
Well, I used to be in the music business. Can I use those old music racks and put the Quran on that?
Yes, sir. That's exactly what you would use because they are designed to hold sheets of music.
Well, let it be sheets of Allah's Quran, the suhuf of the Revelation, inshallah. Okay, guys, I'm through playing around. So when we come back, you can call in. We're going to put the phone number up on the screen, and you can call in and get guided with Guide US TV and just ask Islam.
يا حامل القرآن قد خصك الرحمن بالفضل والتيجان.
Let's take this call. Salam alaikum.
Walaikum salam.
Wa alaikum salam. Who's calling?
Aisha from Des Moines, the one who stumped Ahmed last time.
Oh, Aisha from Des Moines is on the air with you. What's the question this time, sister?
Well, I just wanted to know if you found out the answer to my previous question about whether or not I would pay zakat on that gold crown that I've had for 20 years, and like 15 years I had it before I accepted Islam. So that's what I stumped him on.
Oh, you stumped it, Betty. All right, you've been stumped, Betty boy.
Well, actually, I wanted to thank the sister for asking that question because I went back and asked some of my teachers. So basically, the issue goes back to any type of gold that a woman owns. Some scholars are of the opinion that any gold is to be paid on zakat, and some are of the opinion that they don't have to. So it really depends on that issue. I am of the opinion that any gold that is basically in someone's possession should be paid for. but it has to reach a certain value and it's got to reach a certain weight. So I don't think a crown in your teeth, including if you have crowns on every single tooth, will be, weighty enough for you to pay zakah on it. You got to basically calculate all the gold that you own and then give 2.5% of that. If it exceeds the certain limit, which is basically 85 grams of gold. But I highly doubt that your crown is that expensive or that valuable. So most likely you don't really have to worry about it.
Well, I paid the car on my other gold and silver anyway. I just wondered if I should add that to it. That's all.
Yeah, so basically you would simply estimate by asking a dentist how much gold usually goes into such a crown, and that would give you the answer.
Okay, well, thanks for digging it up for me.
You're very welcome.
Good question. Thank you, Aisha in Des Moines. MashaAllah ta'ala. Make dua for him. He always asks us to make dua, so make dua for him and his whole family, especially his father-in-law. MashaAllah. All right, we got the lines open, and we've had some calls that came in that I missed, so just try us again. 2 minutes ago, we had a call come in to us from Delaware, and I don't know what, did you know what did Delaware anyway? I don't know. I didn't ask her, but what? Okay, whatever. If you can endure these jokes, you can. Here we go. You got a call come in. Assalamu alaikum, caller. Where you calling from?
Well, alaikum salam wa rahmatullah. I'm calling from Columbus, Ohio.
All right. And what's your name?
My name is Abby.
And what's your question for Ahmed?
Yes, my question is, last year I missed Ramadan because I was expectant, and I wanted to know if I have to make up my days before this month, or am I excused until after the month to make it up?
Okay, that's a very good question. We'll take that right now. So, you had a baby, right?
Yes, sir.
Boy or girl?
A boy.
A little boy, mashallah. What did you name him?
Abdul Alim.
Mashallah. I hope I get to meet him.
Inshallah.
When he get a little bit older, bring him by, inshallah. All right? MashaAllah. We got another caller. Let me take that one. We'll come back to that question in just a few minutes. Salaam alaikum, caller. Where are you calling from? Oh, wait a minute. I'm sorry. My fault. Where are you calling from?
Dublin, Ohio, sir.
Okay, you're in Dublin, MashaAllah. What's your name?
My name is Abdullah and Miriam. We called the other day. I hope you remember us. I have a question about Ramadan.
Okay, please, go ahead.
I'm a pilot, and most of the month of Ramadan I'm going to be out and about, flying from one city to the next. My concern is my fasting, and these being long days for this Ramadan, and either trying to make up for my fasting, or and then just the fact that I need to be working all day long, and my energy that I would need. Do you, brother, have any suggestions for me?
That's a very good question, Abdullah. We're gonna put that question right after we come to the question for the sister who just called in. And by the way, are you flying out of the country or just in the country?
It's mostly back and forth through in the country. Sometimes in Mexico, sometimes Canada, but mostly in the country.
Okay, and how long do you fly at a time? 8 hours or what?
Well, the day could last 14 hours, and then sometimes the day could last a couple of hours. It all depends, but most of the time I would say on the average, it's about 4 to 8 hours a day.
Okay. How hard is it for you to fast in those kind of days? Can you do that or no?
Well, I've done it in the past, but with the job requirements that are coming up, the problem that I think I might be having is I'm going to be hungry, of course, but I'm going to be tired, and because of the stress of the job and going from one place to the next and dealing with the customers and such. I'm just concerned that I might not be able to make it throughout the day without feeling faint and such.
I understand. All right, let me ask you this. Have you ever fasted before? Is this your first Ramadan?
No, brother. I've fasted the last 6 years.
Oh, okay. And what did you do in those cases?
Well, the job was different. My flying took place mostly at night, and I didn't have to worry about fasting.
I got you. I got you. So you do have experience and you know exactly what it feels like and what you're going through and everything, right?
That's correct. And considering these days during Ramadan, they're going to be a lot longer. It's going to be harder, and I'm going to be more tempted to at least take a drink to keep going during the day.
All right. Well, here's one suggestion before he gives you the real answer. Just go to Australia and... Okay, I got you down, Abdullah. And hey, thanks a lot for calling tonight. We'll get you a good answer from Sheikh Ahmed just in a few minutes. MashaAllah. Jazakallah khair. Yeah, that's it. You go to Australia, you got the short days over there right now. We got another caller coming in. Let's take that call. Salam alaikum, caller. Where are you calling from?
Calling from Canada.
Okay. Go ahead. What's your name?
Zachariah.
Zachariah. How you doing, Zachariah?
Good.
MashaAllah.
Alhamdulillah.
Do you have a question for us today?
Yeah.
Okay, let's have it.
I wanted to know, is Dhul-Qarnayn a prophet?
Dhul-Qarnayn. Okay, Qarnayn, is he a prophet? That's a very good question. We'll ask about that. You got anything else in Canada there before we take the next call?
No.
Okay, Assalamu alaikum. Got another caller here in Delaware. Is this Della in Delaware? Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam. It doesn't sound like Della in Delaware. This sounds like Hamza. How are you, Hamza?
Good, alhamdulillah.
MashaAllah. Do you have a question for us today?
Yes.
All right, Hamza in Delaware. Tell us what is your question.
My question is about cropping. Like if somebody does something good, is it good to crop or is it bad?
Good question. I'll find out for you as soon as we can. MashaAllah. Any other question there in Delaware before we take the next caller?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, Hamza, tell everybody big salam and make dua for us, please, sir.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam rahmatullahi barakatuh. That's my friend Hamza, and he's in Delaware, and I've known him since he was a little bitty Hamza. That's right, because his mama used to be in Virginia, and they used to help us with our bookings and everything. So, mashallah, Hamza, we are making dua for you. Don't you forget to make dua for us. And we're going to take this caller here. Salam alaikum, caller. Where are you calling from? Go ahead, caller. Where are you calling from? Hello, caller. Where are you calling from?
Ohio?
Columbus, Ohio?
Yes. Ohio.
What's your name?
Mukhtar.
Mukhtar. Mukhtar. And what's your question, Mukhtar? Got a question? Okay. All right. We're going to take that down for just a few minutes. Don't call in right now because we're going to try to answer. We got 4 questions stacked up here for you, Sheikh Ahmed. Are you ready?
Yes, sir.
All right, first question. Want to know about our sister in Columbus, Ohio. She was carrying a baby last year during Ramadan, and she didn't fast. Now, what's happened is, according to her, she has not made up that Ramadan. I don't know if she needed some more days or needed the whole month, but she's only got Shaban before this, and there's not even maybe 3 weeks left in Shaban. What should she do? What kind of problem has she got, and what should she do about it?
Okay, now if the sister is planning to fast this month of Ramadan, she has the ability. She did not share that with us, whether she is not going to fast due to possibly nursing the child. That would mean she would have to have 2 months to make up. Regardless of that, basically, she simply has to make up these days whenever she has the ability to make them up.
Okay.
So if she's able to fast right now, I would highly encourage her to fast. That was the practice of the mothers of the believers. Aisha says that she would delay her fast all the way till Sha'ban, and then that's when she would make up the fast for last year. So this is a good opportunity if she has the physical ability to do so. But if she finds that difficult due to nursing her child, then she simply will delay that until she'll have the ability to do so in the future. May Allah bless her and her newborn and her whole family.
Ameen. Well, that's a good answer. Thank you, Sheikh Ahmed. Let's go to the second question from our brother Abdullah here in Dublin. He's a pilot. He was flying nights before and he could fast during the days, but now he's flying in the days. He wants to know what to do about that because he said he's concerned it could be weak and maybe he needs to drink water, maybe he needs to eat something. And being a pilot, you have a lot of people's lives in your hand, and he wants to be very cautious, wants to know what is Islam telling him, what does he need to do?
Yes, sir. So I want to thank Brother Abdullah for asking this important question. Number one, in his case, the first concession that he has is the fact that he's a traveler. And a traveler has the concession not to fast and to make up those days at a later time. So his job entails that he travels constantly. So whenever he is traveling, whenever he is flying, he should not fast because he has the concession and he can make it up later. He does not have to feed a poor person. He simply makes up those days later in the year. Possibly whenever he's not traveling, even during the month of Ramadan, he would fast. Or later on, if he is to make up any of these days, any other given day of the year when he's not traveling. The second thing is the fact that he is responsible for people's lives. So that is definitely taken into consideration in Islam. And if he has to, have food and have water to stay, focused and to have energy and so forth, then that's something that's very important for him to do. So he does have the concession not to fast while he's traveling and while he's flying, and he has to make up those days later on. And that's all he has to do.
All right, now let me ask you a question. He didn't ask us, but I think some people might ask us. What about the one who is a pilot or he's a doctor and he's got people's lives in his hands, literally, like a doctor is a surgeon or a pilot when he's flying an airplane, and he says, I'm going to tough it out, I'm going to be a macho guy, I don't care, I'm going to go ahead and fast anyway, even though I have a concession, I don't care, I'm going to be real tough, I don't care if I get lightheaded, I don't care if I'm going to be tough. What would you tell that person?
Well, it's really a personal judgment call, but we have the concession, and part of the concession is to take those concessions. Those concessions are called gifts from God to us. And the Messenger said that Allah loves for us to take His concessions, just like He likes for us to be serious with His commandments. So it's a gift from God, and we're supposed to accept that gift from Him. This doesn't mean that we are actually watering down our religion or not being serious about it. We will still make up those days later on when we have the opportunity to do so.
Okay, good answer. Thank you very much for that. Jazakallah khair, Sheikh Ahmed. We've got several other callers that's calling in right now, so I may interrupt when we, here we go, we got one calling in. Let me take that call right now. Assalamu alaikum, caller, where are you calling from?
Fort Worth.
Fort Worth, Texas, mashallah, Cowtown. You're in Cowtown, not right?
Yeah. Right, I have a quick question. Where is the Ramadan derived from? I mean, where is the derivation from Ramadan?
Okay, first of all, what's your name in Cowtown?
My name is Muhammad Ali.
Muhammad Ali. Okay, listen, what do you mean, where do we get it from? How do we calculate it or what?
No, where is dry from the Ramadan? What exactly it means? Is it from the Arabic word, from the Quran?
I see. You're asking where does the word come from, the etymology of the word.
Yes, yes, sir.
Okay, well, we've got the man on the line to tell us about that in just a few minutes, so stay tuned and we'll get right back to that, inshallah. Jazakallah khair. We got another caller, area code 905, mashallah. Where are you calling from?
Canada?
Canada. What city in Canada?
Toronto.
Toronto. Okay.
Yeah.
What's your name?
Fatima?
Fatima. Okay, Fatima.
Yes.
Tell me what your question is.
My question is, how would one overcome these waswas from shaitan about their creator? And how would they fight it off? Like waswas.
Ah, he's
about their
whispering.
creator, like doubt and like slam and stuff. How would you overcome this?
That's a good one. I like that one. I want to know the answer to that one myself. Next was Zachariah in Canada. He wanted to know, is Dhul-Qarnayn a prophet? Dhul-Qarnayn, for the benefit of those at home, I guess you know that this is somebody who's mentioned in Surah Kahf, chapter 18 of the Quran, and he traveled around and did a bunch of stuff and was a mighty guy all the way around. Sheikh Ahmed, who is Dhul-Qarnayn?
So it's a personality that's mentioned in the Quran, as you referred, and he is spoken of as a righteous servant of God. He's not considered a prophet, and basically he was able to reign over many parts of the world, a large geographical location, but he is not known as a prophet of God.
Sheikh, did you ever hear anybody say that he might be Alexander the Great?
I believe I read an article on Islam Newsroom mentioning that many people have made such a claim, and this is simply a claim. We don't have evidence from our scripture and our tradition that that was the case. It's basically some people take guesses on some of these historical figures, and they say, well, that was a king that reigned over the east and the west, so maybe it's him. But in our scripture and in our prophetic traditions, we don't know if this person was Alexander the Great. But what we do know, if you do check out that large article, is the personality of Alexander the Great and his lifestyle did not live up to the standards that are set by God and the messengers of God who follow the commandments of God. He does not resemble those of the believers throughout history, because the believers always lived upright lives, and they were moral, and they were modest, and they were humble, even when they were kings. They were never arrogant or proud. They were not alcoholics. They were not people who have perversions in their sexuality and following their carnal desires. And unfortunately, all these things match up to this historical figure, according to what historians wrote anyway.
Oh, all right, now getting back to these questions that we had the next question coming from Delaware from Humza. Humza wanted to know, is applauding, clapping like that, is that acceptable? Is it okay? Is it haram? Can you clap when somebody does something good, or what's the story on that?
Okay, so that basically goes back to cultural norms. Now, using clapping as an act of worship is not something that we do in Islam, except when the imam makes a mistake. So the ladies are supposed to clap their hands, but they don't actually clap like this. They would clap like this. So tapping the back of their hand instead of the front or the two palms.
This way?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And the point is just simply to get the imam's attention, the prayer leader's attention. Whereas the men would simply say something, they would say Subhanallah to get his attention, and that way he can realize that he made a mistake.
Okay, we've got another caller. Hold on just one second. I'm going to take this call, Sheikh Ahmed. Assalamu alaikum, caller. Where are you calling from?
Columbus, Ohio. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullah.
Wa alaikum salam rahmatullahi barakatuh. So, what's your name?
This is Sister Abby. I just called. This is Sister Abby. I called a few minutes ago
Okay.
with the baby, Abdul Alim.
Yes.
My question is, I have a lot of family members that have the name, like Allah's name, like Abdurrahman, Abdurrahim, Abdul Wahab, but some members of my family tend to cancel out the Abdul and just stick to like Wahab, Alim, or Rahman. Is that permissible to do, or do you have to say Abdul?
Okay, we'll find that out for you, sister. Thank you so much for the call. MashaAllah, that's a good question. Let's take the next caller. Caller, salam alaikum. Where are you calling from? Go ahead, caller. Where are you calling from? Well, we missed one. All right, let's go back to the list here. We were talking about clapping, and we know that, Sheikh, that clapping of the hands used to be something that was done by the Druids in throughout Europe to scare away the devils, especially when the sun would set. They liked to clap their hands, and they thought it was scaring away the devils. And it was to, anybody did something good, so they clapped their hands so that the shaitan wouldn't come. Also, I think you referred indirectly to the hand clapping of the days of ignorance. I think when people used to go around the Kaaba and clap hands, but let's just ask the question today. If somebody came in the masjid and they maybe did a nasheed, could people clap hands, or must they not do that?
To applaud someone, again, it depends on the cultural norms of the society, and as long as it has nothing to do with worship, it would be allowed.
Okay.
As you described, the pagans, the idolaters of Arabia, used to clap as they go around the Kaaba. So that was as part of their ritual. So it's not part of our ritual except for women in the prayer. Other than that, it's allowed as long as it's done properly and it's not done out of ignorance or exceedingly intelligent.
Got it.
So a person has to be balanced.
Okay. Got another caller on the line. Salam alaikum, caller. Where are you calling from?
Salam alaikum. This is Miriam from Austin.
Miriam from Austin. All right. So, what do you got for us tonight?
Well, first of all, just I'll let you know that the storms passage is all good. You were talking about weather earlier.
Okay.
Second, I was talking to Samuel, my youngest one, and I don't know if he's in the mood right now, but maybe we could talk later. But anyways, I was going to see what is the age, since, many said, like, well, the kids are, when you have a baby or family or you revert, the kids are already born into Islam until they come to the age. So what is the appropriate age? Because he did want to come on there and take the Shahada, but I don't think there's enough time, so maybe I'll have to call you personally later, and you could go over it with him. But
well, okay, just hold on a second. How old is he right now?
He is almost 7.
He's 6 years old. Okay. And you've been raising him as a Muslim ever since you came to Islam 4 years ago, right?
Yes.
So he was only 2 years old when... But you know what? There's nothing wrong with him saying Shahada. There's nothing wrong with it. But it doesn't have the same connotation. But we can ask Sheikh about that. We've got Sheikh Ahmed with us, and we'll double check that. But I'm always happy to talk to him. Anytime that Samuel wants to call in and talk to us, you're most welcome. Put him on the phone, and we'll have a great conversation because, we love the kids, so no problem, okay?
But I think, I'll go ahead and do that if he's able to, or I'll just call you separately another time you go over it with him. I think what it is since he does understand, he's heard my voice.
Yeah. If he wants to do it, not a problem. I have no problem. But we'll double check with Sheikh Ahmed. But especially if it makes him happy, he can say Shahada at least 5 times a day. No problem. Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah. Okay, let's go to the next question, Sheikh Ahmed. We had a caller from Cowtown, Muhammad Ali, and he had, well, now, I didn't write his question down. That's me. That's my fault. Well, do you remember what he had as a question?
Yes, sir. The brother asked about Ramadan.
Yeah. Oh, what was the source of the word Ramadan?
Yes, sir. So the source, it's actually mentioned in the Quran, in the scripture that we have, Allah's speech. Allah says, شهر رمضان الذي أنزل فيه القرآن. The month of Ramadan is the month that God sent down the Quran in. And it's also the month that the Messenger ﷺ spoke of when it came to one of the pillars of Islam. He said to fast the month of Ramadan. So that's as far as the texts of Islam are concerned. As far as where is it derived from in the Arabic language, yes, it is an Arabic word. So that's something that we always have to make clear to people. It's an Arabic word, and where it comes from is Ramadan, and Ramadan means severe heat. The severe heat that one feels personally when fasting, when not consuming water and food, and it's also the severe heat of the desert. And basically, the way the names of the Arabic months were derived was that whenever they took down the names of these days, it actually happened to be in a particular season. So the season when they decided to make up the names of the months was a severely hot season, and they called that time Ramadan. Now, we're familiar with the fact that in Islam we follow a lunar calendar, which means the years actually change. Every year, Ramadan comes at a different time. So 10, 15 years ago, Ramadan used to be in the winter time, and right now it's happening straight in the middle or at the end of the summertime. So that tells you that the season actually changes from one year to the next. And as believers, we actually worship God and we fast throughout the year in any given lifetime of ours. But initially, it came from severe heat. That's the meaning of the word. The root of it is Ramadan.
Okay. Now, we have a bunch of more questions, but we're going to hold up on that because we've got to take this break, and we're going to be right back right after this. So don't you go away. You got to stay right there. Get more answers from Sheikh Ahmed on Just Ask Islam, and get guided with Guide Us TV. Stay right there.
يا حامل القرآن قد خصك الرحمن.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Peace and blessings be upon all of you. One of the aims of Islam is to create a society that peacefully coexists with one another. It is my firm belief that ignorance breeds fear. And if we want to get rid of ignorance, we have to educate. I appreciate what Guide Us TV is doing, educating our public in order to be better informed so that we're not afraid of one another, so that we can all peacefully coexist. Get guided with Guide Us TV.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, brothers and sisters. Guide Us TV is doing amazing work, and it needs your support. Running a satellite channel, running a TV station is not cheap. It takes money, it takes time, it takes commitment, and it is absolutely an obligation for you, all of you, to donate generously to help this amazing project. And don't forget, get guided with Guide Us TV.
يا حامل القرآن قد خصك الرحمن بالفضل والتيجان.
Alhamdulillah, we are back. You're watching Guide Us TV and a special program of Just Ask Islam with Sheikh Ahmed Al-Kurdi, coming to us via the computer through the internet. And he's here with us, and alhamdulillah rabbil alameen, we've still got some good questions that came in a little bit earlier. We talked about where did Ramadan come from, and we found out that that word itself means a really, really hot time in the old town tonight. And that was the month that the Quran was revealed, and that's the month we were supposed to fast. Next question came to us from Fatima in Canada, Toronto, Canada, and she wants to know, how do we overcome the wiswas of the shayateen when they give us the wiswas? What is wiswas in the Arabic language, Sheikh Ahmed?
Waswas is the whisper of the devil, basically. That devil could either be a human devil or a genie devil from amongst the jinn. So anyone that gives us bad thoughts and bad ideas and whispers to us is someone that we should be careful around and we should stay away from. As far as how do we get rid of that, the first thing, first and foremost, with anything that we ever want, is to ask God, to ask Allah, to ask Him, because He's in charge of everything and everyone. So if we ever need anything, we need to make any request, we need to ask Allah for help, for assistance, for guidance, and for protection. And what we are taught is to say a particular prayer as well when we have a sense that it's the devil actually speaking to us or giving us bad ideas or simply bugging us and trying to mess with us, which is to say, A'udhu billahi minash shaytanir rajim, which means I seek protection and refuge in God from the cursed devil. And that is supposed to basically protect us from it. Now, we're supposed to mean that prayer. We don't simply say it as lip service. We're supposed to constantly be aware of what we're saying, and we mean it, and then we should trust that Allah will accept our prayer and protect us from the devil.
It's a very good answer, Sheikh Ahmed. So for when the shaitan is coming to us, and we're hearing all of this nasty stuff going on and in our heads, and the best thing to do, A'udhu billah minash shaitanir rajim.
Yes, sir.
What about... Go ahead.
Also, we should remember Allah. So mentioning Allah's name will drive away the devils. We also know that the adhan, the call to prayer, drives away the devil.
You mean like if somebody said, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allah, like this, and then that would scare them away?
Well, whenever it's time to perform salah, we're supposed to make the adhan. It's not limited to the mosque. So that does scare the devil away and keep him away from you while you pray. So at least 5 times a day, you're scaring him away and saying, hit the door, Jack, and never come back.
Hit the door, Jack, and never come back. I like the way you give answers, mashallah.
And the other thing we should do is to recite the Quran in our homes. So, for example, we are told if you recite the chapter number 2, Surah Al-Baqarah, titled The Cow, then Allah will protect that household for a full week from the influences of the devil.
A week? I thought it was 3 days.
It's a whole week.
7 days?
Yes, sir.
And nights?
Yes, sir. Now, in the nighttime, it's interesting that you asked that. We're supposed to say particular things for protection in the night. So we're supposed to do our morning and evening adhkar, supplications and words of remembrance, and that will be our spiritual antidote and spiritual protection from the spirits that we do not see. So that's before the sun rises and before the sun sets daily. And then when we take our beds, in order for us to be protected from nightmares, which is a time that the devil comes in and bothers people, we're supposed to recite Ayatul Kursi, ayah verse number 255 in chapter number 2. And that is also protection. In fact, we are told Allah will send us a guardian our whole evening and nothing will harm us that night. Meaning nothing physical and nothing spiritual. Also, something to keep in the back of our minds is not to put ourselves in harm's way. So someone can say all these supplications, but for example, they watch a scary movie and then they go to sleep. Well, guess what? You're going to have some nightmares because it's stuck in your subconscious mind. So don't put yourself in a situation where you're actually asking for trouble. Don't be around bad people. Don't be around bad influences. Don't listen to negative things. So that would include music and idle talk and backbiting and slander and things of that sort. All these things will influence the devil and also bring the devil towards us. And we sure don't want the devils around us at all. So we should pray about it and we should stay away from anything that would put us in harm's way.
Perfect. That's a very good answer. I'm glad that our sister Fatima in Toronto asked because sometimes, you know what, we forget that. And reciting before you go to sleep at night and when you get up in the morning, Ayatul Kursi, chapter 2, verse 255, very good. There's something else too, isn't it? In the end of Ayatul Kursi, if you recite it at night or recite it in the morning, what is that about?
So also reciting the last two verses from Surah Al-Baqarah, so the last two, 285 and 286, that is also protection in the evening time. You recite that in the evening time.
Is that
whether before you take your bed or actually before sunset, it's fine. It's also a protection for you.
What will happen if somebody dies during the day or the night and they've recited that?
Oh, well, they would be in very good shape, God willing. They're promised paradise and they're promised forgiveness and so forth. So there's great virtue in that.
Do they start with, is that where it starts with, La yukallifullahu nafsan illa wusaha?
No, right before that, the verse right before that, which is آمن الرسول بما أنزل إليه من ربه. The messenger believes in what was revealed to him from his Lord, and so do the believers, all of them, believing in God, His angels, His messengers, and His books. And we don't separate or make differences between any of these messengers. And they say, our Lord, forgive us, and to you is our return. And then Allah speaks about that He does not hold any person, He doesn't give a burden that a person can't handle, and so forth. And then it ends with a beautiful prayer. God, don't hold us accountable for what we don't have the capacity to do, and don't make a burden heavy on us like you did on the nations that came before us. Forgive us, have mercy on us. You are our ally. Give us victory on those who reject you and disbelieve in you, and so forth. So it's a beautiful prayer, and God says whoever says this, they're promised to be answered. So it's something nice to always say, but specifically in the evening time, it's a source of spiritual protection.
What if somebody started on the verse before that and read the last three verses? La yukallifullahu nafsan illa wusaha. Is that okay, or should they not do that?
You mean the first one and the last three would be Lillahi ma fi samawati wa ma fil ard. To God belongs what's in the heavens and the earth. And then that's the third one from the bottom. There's no problem in reciting that, but the messenger's practice was the last two. He specifically spoke about the last two, which start with Aman al-Rasul.
Got it.
So that's basically it.
Okay. Start with Aman al-Rasul. Huh?
Yes, sir. Yep.
Got it. All right. Now that's good. That's good. I think all of this is helping all of us get a little closer to Allah during the month of Shaban. We've still got a couple more questions here. We had the lady called back in Columbus. The sister was asking about another question she had. She said that some of her family have names like Abdullah and Abdurrahman, but they've dropped off the Abdul part and just call themselves Rahman and using the names of Allah without saying Abd in front of it. Is that okay, or is that a problem? And if so, what should she do?
Okay, so it's actually a very good practice. May Allah reward the parents of these children, although they may be adults now. But whenever parents give their children beautiful names, that's something very, very nice. And that's actually one of the rights that the child has on the parent. So giving them a beautiful name that signifies that they are a servant of the Almighty God and Master of the universe is something beautiful, because you are a resemblance of your name, and it actually is a constant reminder. So one of the things that we have to remember with our names is that they are one of the rights of our parents upon us. So we're supposed to call ourselves by the names that our parents called us by. Number two, if the name has a beautiful meaning like we just discussed, they are the servant of the Master, the servant of the Lord, servant of the God, servant of the Most Merciful, and so forth, then it's something to keep intact. Let's not take shortcuts with those types of names. And it does not become appropriate for somebody to call himself by one of the names of God. Calling himself Master or Merciful or Provider and so forth. It doesn't really make sense. I know that in some cultures they do that, but that's not the best, the best way of going about it. If a person wishes to have a nickname that's separate from the name of God, that's their choice if they wish to have that, or possibly have a kunya, which is to be called Abu something or something. that's something that they can use if they feel that the name is too long. I'm not sure if the question was related to what they go about in society, if they happen to be in a non-Muslim society and they feel that it's a burden to have the longer name. That's beside the point. So you should keep your name as your parents named you, and you should honor the name of Allah by not taking it lightly, and actually reflect over your name. Remember who you are. You are a servant to a mighty Lord, and your name is actually a beautiful reminder of that at all times. So may Allah bless us all to reflect over that,
Ameen.
to be true servants of Allah.
I heard one time, Ahmed, some time ago, one sheikh, he got really adamant about this particular topic, and he went off and he was saying that whoever dropped the abd in front of it, then they were committing shirk because you couldn't call yourself by Allah's names. And he scared me so bad, I was afraid to even open my mouth about anything after that.
Well, it can happen in specific names of Allah. So we know that the names of Allah start with a definitive article, which is Al. So, for example, Ar-Rahman is the epitome of mercy and kindness and grace. So no one can call themselves Ar-Rahman. But the messenger, for example, in the Quran, Muhammad is described as Bil-Mu'minina Ra'ufun Rahim. With the believers, very kind, gentle, and merciful. So someone can call themselves Rahim without having the definitive article, which is a nice description. But that's not the case with all the names of Allah. So that's why we have to be careful with that. And don't mess with it if you don't really know what the name entails. So that's the idea. I don't want to go as far as what the other sheikh said, but it can mean that if the person says that I am the most merciful. That means you're trying to share in the divinity and in the names of God, and that's not appropriate. That's something to stay away from.
Well, I think you found the balance that we're all looking for, and that is that if you put the article Z in front of it, then obviously you're calling yourself God, but leaving that off there, it might be all right. Some people are called Rashid, or, you know, I've heard that, and I've heard some people are called
So with
Rahman.
Rashid, actually, specifically, it's not a name of God, so we don't have to worry about that. Although some people think that it is, it's actually not one of the names of Allah.
I heard somebody named Abdul Rashid. Is that wrong?
Yes, sir. That's a common name, actually, but it's not one of the names of Allah, so it should not be used. That is also like Abdul Nur. Some people are called that. And that's also something that's questionable, because An-Nur itself is actually a description of God and not one of his names. So when you say Abd of something, you want to give one of the proper names of Allah that he named himself with.
So that the chapter Surah An-Nur, which means light, and it says that Allah is the Nur as-Samawati wal Ard. I didn't memorize that surah, but anyway. But even then, it doesn't mean necessarily his name is Nur, huh?
Yeah, that's not his name. That's his description. It's actually describing him.
So when we say Masjid An-Nur, it just is meaning Masjid is the light.
Yes, the Mosque of Light.
Because some people had these questions. Anyway, so, mashallah, you have handled these questions so well and give us good balance, and I like that. I feel good when I talk to you about these things. I don't feel like I'm stupid, but at the same time, I feel like I'm getting educated, and I hope our audience is feeling the same way. We have finally our sister Miriam, who used to be Sister Candace, the very first one to ever call in and do Shahada with us live in April of 2011. She called in Tuesday, brought her sister Laura. She made her Shahada with us this past Tuesday. MashaAllah, may Allah reward Laura and keep her strong in this religion of Islam. Ameen. But tonight she asks us a question. Her son Samuel, who was 2 years old when she entered into Islam, and now he's 6, almost 7, and he wants to do Shahada. Could he do that? And if not, what should he do? And if so, what does it mean?
Okay, so I believe she actually called last Monday because I was present and attended the Shahada of Sister Laura.
Oh, yes, you're right. It wasn't Tuesday. It was Monday. Sorry. Okay, back the tape up. Edit it out. Yes, on Monday she called it. Never mind. Anyway.
That was the highlight of our show last week, and may Allah bless her and bless her whole family. As for the question about her son Samuel, it's actually very nice that he would actually ask this or request it because he feels everyone is getting excited. He saw his mother and then his aunties back to back, make the shahada. So I'm sure he wants to participate in the fun and he's hearing about all the nice virtues about that. But he's actually a Muslim because he's been raised Muslim since the age of 2. But as you said to her, there's no problem in us repeating the shahada, not necessarily to enter into the fold, but to recommit to our obligation and to simply say it. And we say it all the time. We say it in the adhan, whenever we call to the prayer, and we say it in the iqamah, and we say it in our tashahhud when we're finishing up our prayer in the ritual. So we're saying it constantly, and it's something beautiful to always declare multiple times every single day. But as far as embracing the faith, he does not have to do that. But if he wishes to call in, I think we encourage him and every young person to do that because it's beautiful to hear our young folks getting excited about Islam and to actually understand the meaning behind the statement. It's not simply saying something, but it's actually meaning it and trying to live by it. So I think if you don't have a problem with that, I think she should encourage him to call and have a conversation with him.
Well, for me, I'm a showman all the way, and I like anything that's good for Islam. And I like to show it off, anything that attracts people to look at what we got going on. And as long as it's not against Islam and it makes people feel good and we're helping, that I feel like that I have no problem with it. But always I'm open up to be corrected. I would like to say, too, that there is something called reconfirmation. You are reconfirming something that's in your heart every time you say Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasul. And when you say it with commitment and reconfirm this commitment, that is something so powerful that there is nothing better in the whole universe than this saying. So sharing it with other people, as long as you don't think that it's like the same. It's not the same, as somebody just coming to Islam, I don't think, but it is something that's just as good as you can get with what you got to work with.
Yes, sir. In fact, our Messenger ﷺ tells us that the best word that a person can ever utter is this, the best thing that he said and the messengers before him said is La ilaha illallah. There is nothing worthy of worship except Allah, God Almighty. So we're supposed to always say it. And in fact, going back to our sister from Canada, her question, when she said about the evil whispers, one of the things we are told whenever we have evil whispers that make us doubt our belief is to actually recommit and reconfirm and say that testimony of faith again, to completely turn away the devil and tell him, no way, Jose, we're not going to go for that. We are confirming our commitment to God, and we testify that he's the only one worthy of worship and obedience, and that Muhammad is his servant and his messenger, which is our model and our way towards worshiping God correctly.
Well, we're running out of time. I wanted to kind of wind down a little bit and remind everybody that just yesterday we did have Ricardo Williams, who made Shahada with us, and I haven't heard from him today, but I was hoping maybe he was going to call in tonight and talk with us again. He has called 2 times, yesterday and the day before, and I know, actually he called twice yesterday, and I know he's had some problems, and many people do when they enter into Islam. So all of us, let us put our hands together and let's just really ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to guide him, guide his family, make everything easy for him, not put him into any trials or tribulations, but make this journey into Islam a beautiful and easy way, to give him yusra and not usr, because this is so critical when the new people come in. We ask Allah, make it easy, make it easy, make it easy, and guide all the people who have a desire to be guided, and let them come and share with us here on Guidance TV. Ameen, ameen. And Ahmed, how about next week? Are you gonna be with us again? I know some of the folks were asking me, are you going to be a regular on Guidance TV?
As far as being a regular, only Allah knows that, but we are committed to being together for the next few months, inshallah, on Monday evenings.
All
So
right.
if Allah gives me the ability, I sure am committed to this particular time.
How about on through the month of Ramadan? You'll be able to do every Monday on Ramadan?
If it's before sunset, then yes, sir. If it's the same timing, then inshallah we should be able to do it. But I do have evening engagements in the month of Ramadan, so just to keep that in the back of my mind.
All right. Well, you know, there's a brother out there by the name of Muhammad that helped me and did some broadcasting for me. You remember him?
Yes, sir. I remember speaking to him on the phone.
Well, if you got his phone number, if you don't, we'll get it from our engineer in Minneapolis to get it to you. But if in your travels that you would like to have somebody broadcast it on Guidance TV and he wants to help you with it, we're open to make the space available on the air and promote it for you guys, because we'd love to have a direct hookup with you guys out there. I think it would be wonderful if you'd like to entertain that idea.
Jazakallah khairan. Thank you so much for the offer. Inshallah, we'll look into it and we'll pray about it. And
it's not easy. By the way, when you're fasting, it even gets even more hectic, but the beauty of it is that it sticks. It's something that stays with the people long, long after we're gone, you know, and they love it. And so that's something that for you to reflect on. Make istikhara, inshallah. Tell us finally, what does the word istikhara mean, and how important is istikhara salah for us?
So istikhara means to seek guidance and to seek the best of a particular situation. And there was a teaching of our Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam who says, whenever one of you has an idea coming to their mind and they actually feel like they're leaning towards performing it, before they perform it, they should pray this prayer, which is to pray 2 cycles, 2 rak'at, and afterwards to say a beautiful prayer, which is asking Allah by His knowledge and by His might, and to guide the individual to make the best decision, and to ask Allah, if this particular thing is good for me, facilitate it for me, and make it a blessed decision, and if it's something bad, then keep it away from me, keep me away from it, and grant me good wherever that might be. So it's basically relying on Allah and asking Him to guide us and to make things right.
MashaAllah. Now, you said you make istikhara when you want Allah to decide something for you because you're not sure about something. So do people need to make istikhara about whether or not they should support Allah's deen? Do they need istikhara to know whether or not they should support us getting out these 22,000 Qurans and mailing them out? Or should they just get on the phone and start doing it?
Actually, I'm glad you asked that, because it's a very detailed discussion. You don't make istikhara for anything that's an obligation. So you don't say, oh Allah, should I pray 5 times a day? You also never make istikhara for things that are explicitly forbidden. So, oh Allah, should I go to the bar and get drunk and wasted? Those 2 things are not allowed. You make istikhara for things that basically you want to see whether it should be lawful and it should not be forbidden, and you're asking Allah whether it's the right thing for you to do or not. But when it comes to supporting the religion of Allah, supporting those who are calling to Allah and doing the rest of the community, basically the job of everyone in this community, then we should all come together and support those efforts with whatever we can, without hesitation. In fact, we shouldn't really think about it twice. It's a no-brainer, and it's something to try to do, and it's a huge investment in this life and in the next, and it's a source of Allah blessing us, blessing our wealth, blessing our families. So this is something to actually participate in with no istikhara.
يا حامل القرآن قد خصك الرحمن بالفضل والتيجان